Hi kids, we're going to build our first motor project, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to build this out of the bag. And so you're going to watch the video and build as I build, grabbing the parts as you need them. If you need to pause the video, feel free to do so. Okay, we're going to start with a blue connector and a purple connector snapped together. And we're going to need a total of 4 blue-purple connectors put together. So we do that, and we do that, and we do that. So we have 4 blue connectors and purple connectors, and they're put together in 90-degree angles. Now we're going to make a rectangle, and we're going to use blue rods to connect them like so. Okay? And then we're going to take a blue rod and do it on the opposite side. And there is the start of our foundation for our motor, the base. And in order to hold those at the right distance apart so the motor fits perfectly in there, we're going to use green rods to snap those in like that. Okay? Then we'll snap in the back. So now we have a nice solid foundation. Now to keep it from tipping over, because we don't want it to tip over, we're going to put white rods off the front. And we're going to put light gray connectors to extend it and make it even more stable. So that's what we're looking at so far. Then we're going to put a blue rod off on that side and a green connector to stabilize it over there. And there's what we have. Now we're ready to build the uprights, and we're going to need 4 yellow rods for this. So the 4 yellow rods will go like this, and this, and that, and that, okay? Now, in order to hold the motor in place, we're going to use white connectors, okay? So this is the front. We're going to put another white connector on the other side, like so. And now we can take our motor, and we can spread these apart and put our motor in there. Make sure that you put it in so these pegs go into the white connectors, and it will go up and down so that it's at 90 degrees with the surface of the table, okay? Now, that keeps your motor nice and secure, and you should always make your motor secure. Now, we're going to start to build the frame back, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take a blue rod and snap it in here, and a blue rod and snap it in there. And then what we'll do is we'll bring a yellow connector in, because we want to make this even higher, okay? We want to make it even higher, so what we're going to do is we're going to put yellow connectors in the back, like so. Now we're going to put some white rods on each of the connectors, pointing up, like so. There you go. And we're starting to reach the height of our frame. Now, what we want to do next is we want to take yellow connectors, and above the motor, we're going to snap those so they give us a nice shelf right here. So we'll take another yellow connector, and there's what we have. Okay? Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to take and we want to put blue off the back towards the back, like so, and then we're going to hold those in place with red connectors. Okay? So this is what we have so far. Alright? Now, we're going to extend the front here, and we're going to use green rods, like so, and red rods like so. Alright? So there we go. So now this is what the front looks like, and this is what the back looks like. Okay? Now we're going to put our axle in through the motor. We're going to use a red rod, okay? And we're going to push it through like that, okay? Just like so. And it slides easily. Now, we're going to eventually stop it from sliding, but we want to put our yellow gear on this side, above the blue rod. So before we do that, we want to take and put a dark gray connector here and slide it against that. Then what we'll do is we will take our yellow crown gear and we're going to slide it with the flange in towards the motor, slide it in. Now this is a lot of extra rod. We're going to get rid of that after we put our tan lock on there. We need to put a tan lock on there because if you turn your motor on, your gear will turn, but if you hold the gear, it will spin freely. The axle will spin freely, and it's not a fixed axle with the gear. So we need to stop, and you're going to put your tan lock so that the peg can slide into the yellow gear. Okay? Just like so. All right? Now, we want this to lock in place, so what we're going to do is we're going to take another tan lock and put it on the opposite side. But this time, the tan lock is going to snap on so it faces out, okay? It faces away from the motor. And the reason being is because we want to put a wheel on there. And the wheels have these little holes in them that slide over the peg of the tan lock, okay? So when you put it in there, you put it on, slide it down, and it becomes nice and snug, okay? Nice and snug. Then we take a dark gray connector, snip it on like that, and we're good to go. So now we have our power axle, our power takeoff, ready to transfer energy through our machine. So the next thing we're going to do is take a red rod, or I'm sorry, a red gear, and a yellow rod, okay? And we're going to put a dark gray connector on the back of that, and then a spacer, okay, on it. Now, on the same side as the wheel, you're going to slide that through the yellow connector right above the yellow gear and the wheel. So you slide it through like that. So now you have an axle for above the yellow gear. And this is what it'll look like. So you have a spacer here, dark gray, and you have this axle right here. Now we're going to put the red gear on here, okay? So we're going to put the red gear, and before we do that, we don't want that red gear to spin freely, so we're going to put a tan lock on there. There we go. Now you have that tan lock right there, and with the flange side facing in, you're going to slide that so that it goes onto the tan connector, okay? And then, in order to keep that gear from falling off, you're going to grab yourself another light gray connector and snap it on like so, okay? Now, we have another gear we want to put on, and that's this gray gear right here, okay? And we're going to use a red rod as an axle, and we're going to slide that gray gear on, and it's friction fit, so it's going to go on tight, and it's going to fit right like that, okay? Nice and flush. Then you will take two blue spacers and slide them on, just like so, okay? Then this is going to go right through this hole right there and out to the other side, and it will line in with the red gear. So now we have a gear train. This is a gear train, okay? So we're going to turn it, and we want this thing to stay in place, so we're going to get another dark gray connector and snap it in there, and there we go. It's nice and in place, okay? Notice how everything is in alignment. You can see your little gray gear. You can see part of the red. If you're looking at it straight on, you can see the yellow. You have these spacers and everything, okay? Now, we have one more thing we want to do, and it's on this side, okay? So we need to make one more axle, and we're going to take a red rod, and we're going to put a tan connector on it, and this time the little peg is going to point out and away. And what we're going to do is we're going to slide that through the back red ones, like so. Okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to take two more blue spacers, just like that. And then the last thing we're going to do, okay, and you might have to take the rubber wheel off. You can take the rubber wheel off your other tire rim, and you're going to slide that right against the blue spacers, okay? Right against the blue spacers. Then, in order to hold this in place, you're going to take another dark gray connector, snap it in, and slide it all the way down, Okay? Now, this wheel hub should be in line with this wheel hub, okay? And that's important because what you're going to do is put this rubber band on it, okay? This is you're going to have to stretch it, okay, out over both of them, and it can be kind of difficult, but once you get it on them, there we go, like so. Okay, and you might have to adjust it, and you want to make sure that the rubber band doesn't have any twists in it, okay, and that that sits as flat as it possibly can. And it can be kind of difficult, all right? It takes a lot of patience. But once it's seated in there, it should stay in there. Now, the important thing is this, okay? Once you start using this machine, if you hear a click, click, click sound like this, that's really bad. That means you need to stop it right away, turn your motor off, okay? When you turn this on, you will see things start to move, okay? You will see things start to move. Now, look at what happened to my rubber band. Uh-oh, that's no good. I have to adjust it. So I'm going to put it back on again and get it back adjusted and see if that won't stay on. Sometimes it's just a matter of moving things a very little bit here and there. That's all it is to make it work, okay? But you should be able to get that rubber band to run without without falling off at all. No, didn't do it. So, part of your design process will be to figure out how to get this rubber band to stay on there the whole time it's spinning. Okay, and there is a trick to it. There is a trick to it, and it has to do with adjusting things, moving them one way or another. Okay, I'm going to let you fuss around with that because that really truly is going to be one of the biggest things that you'll have to deal with when you're building amusement park rides, is this rubber band drive might jump all over the place. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you the gears now, okay? When you turn it on, notice how you have your gears turning. Notice how your yellow gear turns one direction, your red gear turns the other direction, and then the gray turns the same direction as the yellow gear, okay? That's how gear trains work, okay? You'll notice that the red and yellow create a 1-to-1 ratio, or a size to size equal ratio, and the red to gray creates a large to small ratio. So coming from the power, you have a 1-to-1 ratio, and then you have about a 2.5-to-1 ratio, or larger to smaller. And you'll notice that as they spin, if you look on the other side, I've taken my rubber band off, look at how these spin at different rates, okay? That's really important when it comes to understanding how gears work. Well, anyways, hopefully your machine works. Take it, show it to your teacher, and see if you can get this rubber band to stay on for more than just a few seconds. I'm going to actually keep tweaking it myself because I really want to see if I can get it done. All right, now, earlier today, I just kind of did this with the axle and it seemed to work all right. All right, well, that is part of the engineering design process, getting things to work properly, okay? Because the biggest lesson in KNEX and building is, just because you built it and it looks right doesn't mean it's always going to work. And it's usually one little teeny tiny adjustment that gets it to work. So see if you can get yours to work. Good luck, kids.